How do I even begin? And where do I start? I've been waiting on this game, including many others over the internet and people I know for years now. A man doesn't simply draw 179 art pieces over 3 years and won't admit that the game moved him. The game that's been an anticipated sequel to fantastic indie gem from 2017. The game that's been shouted in every Nintendo Direct stream until the chatter's hands bled. With an exciting story of barely any news with ups and downs. Where should I start? Well, how about I start with my experience with it? Skip to this timestamp if you don't care about me. It's somewhere around 2020, 2021. Corona's the hottest thing on the world right now and changing the way we basically do anything. And that included my 17-year-old me in my school. This is also the time where my friends introduced me to Destiny 2, which, you know, got me busy for a while. But then there was an online friend of mine. I don't know who it was, but I'm not checking the thousands of DMs. And they recommended Hollow Knight to me. I checked it out, and to say I was fascinated by its mind-boggling powers would be an understatement. It was so atmospheric, so beautiful, and yet with a destroyed and rotting kingdom, it was so full of life. This experience then motivated me to make my first video on my channel in English, and then a year later motivated me to make my first ever review on this channel. And this review sucks! It's structured like a house fire, scripted like dang, and there's a bunch of jokes that I don't even know where they were going.
It's called the Outlands or something, but my head canonical name for it is the section of TikTok where they fake Tourette's and autism for views. You are a part of the problem.
And whenever people bring it up to me, I just laugh at it. But I cannot stand the fact that it's my first ever scripted review, and it's so awful. But enough mauling. Why am I bringing it up? Well, let's jump back to 2025. Bunch of games released, I was still making the Risk of Rain video and some other projects. And then there's this one Nintendo Direct. Casually in a game footage reel, they show off Silksong footage we haven't seen before. And an ominous 2025 release window. Safe to say fans took it well. News laid low for a while again until a new challenger approached. Acme, an Australian media museum showing off their new video game worlds exhibition. And what's in there? That's right, World of Warcraft. They give us a rough release window and later even a portion of Hornet's spreadsheet. Should I say it? I don't wanna. Then we learn on Gamescom this year that Silksong will be finally playable again after that one time in 2019. I was on holiday at that time. I took it well. Now Gamescom started, people are playing Silksong again for the first time in years, and during all of this, Team Cherry awakens from their grave and did something absolutely no one would have expected them to do. Oh hey guys, we're glad you're all enjoying the Silksong demo. Anyways, in 48 hours we will have a special announcement on our channel that's been dormant for years, ever since the first trailers and everything. Remember, 48 hours for the special announcement. Anyways, bye-bye. Safe to say, fans took it well. 48 hours passed, it's the 19th of August. Pokemon showed off the new Victreebel Mega Evolution. I think he's silly. Oh yeah, Silksong's release date trailer on the 4th of September. It was over. The Silk sanity, the countless predictions, the mental illness, the jokes and Yakuza gifts. It was all over. This game finally had a release date and we could all enjoy it. But now you wonder, I'd assume, why I brought up my old Hollow Knight review. Well, I was thinking about what to do with it. I couldn't just delete it, it's part of my channel's history and deleting it would be scrubbing part of my identity. And I just don't have a plan or the motivation for a true review video, as I believe that I've said everything I wanted to say about it, albeit in a pretty autistic way. Well, I've been thinking, am I gonna sit here beaten down, swallow it all up and forever seethe about this bad video? Or am I gonna stand up, spit it out and for this game sequel finally make the Hollow Knight review the way I've always wanted it to be? And if I'll have to do it while being a fresh new mechatronics student, I'll do it for God's sake. So here it is, the video I've been wanting to make for probably years now, my Silksong review. For the context of the next clips, I've decided to stream all of my experience on my channel live. For one, to check if people care about me, and two, cause having like 500 gigabytes of footage for the whole game on PC would rather make me find God. The violent way. And side thing, if you're wondering about what happened to my stature and size since the last video, I borrowed a nanobot from one of my colleagues for this video and dressed it up to be a little bug. Hi big cretin, hi. Unfortunately, they've been highly sought after and expensive, so to convince my friend to give me the robot, I had to do some favors. But whatever, it's not the topic of this video. While I was streaming, I decided to add a counter for every time I really appreciated a part of the game. I beat the game's true ending eventually, and the counter, it was at 159. And today, I'd like to show you why. Fuck, that sounded corner of the script. They see your beauty, so frail and fine. They see your fine. You wanna read it? Fuck you! It's interesting how even just the beginning of the game shows you the difference in tone for Silksong. In Hollow Knight, the knight came back to Hallowness after the Hollow Knight started to break out. It jumped down, went through King's Path with only atmospheric sounds, and soon came to the only town and first soundtrack of many, Dirtmouth. A melancholic tune that's already showing you how deserted Hallowness has become after it fell, preparing you for the vibe you'll soon come to experience. Silksong, on the other hand, starts with you being captured by the Citadel's bugs. After a mild kerfuffle, you're unwillingly being sent down Farloom and land in Moss Grotto. The stark difference between the blue and sad cave walls of King's Pass and the fresh, living and growing moss walls within the waterfalls and lakes just shows how different Farloom is from Hallowness. Anyways, tutorial time, nothing big, and then really early on you're thrown into your first boss fight against Moss Mother. That was on the beat, Rob. That was so sick. And it already shows you the other new thing about Silksong. Oh, fuck. It doesn't fucking hold back. Hollow Knight barks and then bites. Silksong goes straight for the throat. Bosses are way more challenging. 2 musk hits were very rare in Hollow Knight, reserved for final bosses, super bosses, and that one fucking guy. 2 musk hits in Silksong, they invite themselves into your home and piss on your carpet. Iframes, they left for the milk and don't even answer my emails. Moss Mother shows a little regard, but Belbeast will go hard, and let's not even talk about Widow. This sudden change in difficulty threw a lot of Hollow Knight longtime fans and newcomers for a loop. Big loop. And you know, I kinda get that. This difficulty can sour the experience for people who are bad at the game! And I had issues with some pretty cheap devs too, but there was one thing keeping me going. Everything. If I stopped now, if I went to play something else or give up on this game, I would never experience the joy when I actually beat the boss I was stuck at after like 20 tries. And man, in the words of a very wise man,
I put my whole pussy into that!
These 7 years were absolutely worth it. Farloom is gigantic. Even without the citadels, much bigger than Hollow Knight's map. Almost double the size, I would even say. So despite the difference in difficulty, I can repeat what I say to a lot of people who are struggling with Hollow Knight. Keep on going, cause it will be glorious. Also, get good. Okay, before we start, we have to talk about the structure of this video. In my last video, which blew the fuck up, thankies, I was structuring the game along its stage progression and talking about all the different gameplay elements on the way, but like, Farloom alone has like 16 areas. I don't think I'm going to give every area its own section. We would be here all day. So I chose to structure this game by its in-game acts. We will talk about the basics and all the areas briefly in Farloom for Act 1, move on over to the Citadel of Song in Act 2, and then the horror. Oh yeah, also spoiler alert, but at this point you should already know. Anyways, I don't want to take up any of your time. Let's start this shit. Act 1 contains the entirety of Farloom. You have the objective to scale it and find the citadel somewhere at the top of the map. The first area that you get to explore is Moss Grotto. I already touched on it earlier, but there's a structure that we can access later on in the game. Other than that, the music for this area is so beautiful. Despite the entire kingdom being haunted by silk, it's still full of life. And places like this show that off so well. Anyways, after getting out of there after defeating the Moss Mother and talking with a chapel maid, she will be important later. We meet our first town out of many in Farloom, Bone Bottom. Bone Bottom was one of the first tracks to be shown off when the game was announced, and oh my god, it's so... Oh! The town is still in the making, so we will get back here later. And to your right is the Marrow. The Marrow is basically the bone forest that Team Cherry was planning to make for Hollow Knight but never could. The music is atmospheric, there's a cool little heat warbling effects, and there's quakes sometimes happening in the background. It's also where enemies and hazards appear that can deal 2 massive damage to you. And while that's a point of critique for a lot of people, that was alright. Later on the line they reduced the damage for a lot of hazards where it makes sense to reduce it, but still, even in the early areas, they don't shy away from some nasty double damage sources. I will say though, and yeah, I'm basically agreeing with what Team Cherry said in response to negative backlash, the double damage kind of makes sense. All the enemies in Farloom are much more adept and trained in fighting, and Hornet's more agile moveset, crest system and moves make up for them. Not to mention there's 3 mask heal you can do. In Hollow Knight, King's Path was a tutorial. For Silksong, it's Hollow Knight that is the tutorial. Back to Marrow. Here's the most important boss fight for the rest of the game, Belbeast. Belbeast rocks our shit much harder than Moss Mother, and thinking back to it, it's basically just an upgraded massive Moss fast charger, just with really loud bells that are weirdly funny to me. It was also during times like these where I had to get used to Hornet's diagonal pogo, which some people seem to have disliked, but like, how hard is it to get around it really? And also Crest, you get your first one on Greymore or Hunter's March if you have to get trolled. Back to the boss fight after you beat it into submission runs away, but after a while it comes back to you and thus you unlock fast travel, which you will be needing a lot because my god, this map is gigantic. Looking back at the Edge magazine interview from 2019, Jesus Christ. Team Cherry said how Greymore, which we'll get to later, came to be one of the biggest areas they've ever created. You will come to see that after 6 years. Yeah, there's bigger areas than that, buddy. And there's a lot of Bell Beast stations, so fast travel saves a lot of time, and I absolutely love the Bell Beast. The old stag from Hollow Knight was just a sentient creature like a lot of the other NPCs, and gave a little dialogue about the areas you've unlocked. But the Bell Beast is just a little doggy. It grows, it runs around in a circle after you come back to it, and when you stand next to it for a long while, it excitedly stomps on the ground, impatiently waiting for you to take a trip to Bilewater because you died at the arena again and came back for shell shards. I absolutely love it, and you could just hear that excitement in my streams. Oh, that's cute. It's so cute. After getting through Marrow, you enter Deep Docks, another area that was shown off in the reveal trailer and the E3 streams of Silksong. Crazy to think that, by the way, that E3 is a footnote in this game's history now, considering that it's gone. Deep Docks has some pretty decent music, but it doesn't hit as well as some other areas I will talk about later. However, visually it's pretty strong, like a lava area mixed with a factory-like area. And this is a place where you get the most important upgrade in the entirety of Farloom, Swift Step, aka the dash and sprint. A sprint and dash this early is so incredibly useful for traversal. It makes backtracking the bosses or failed delivery so much easier. Oh yeah, bosses, Lace is such a fucking bitch and that's just awesome. A cocky fencer with an attitude bigger than her head, she's absolutely ready to shank you. The fight is really fun. I love boss fights that feel like you're dancing with the boss, and there's so many in this game alone. The way she jumps out of the lava when you get knocked into it, or how she laughs at you maniacally when you die, which I didn't because I beat her first try. All the fight really unlocks is the bell right after, but man, it's such a fun fight. I wonder if we get to fight her again. And again, the theme that played during her fight is phenomenal, and it was also shown off in 2019 when Silksong was announced. A track that I made a semi-ominous meme about. To be honest, it kind of sucks in retrospective, but hey, got me some views, so who gives a shit if it's cringe. What else is there to Deep Docks? There's the Forge Daughter NPC that sells stuff to you. She's alright, you can bully her coworker Baller though. Oh, and also some fleas. Let's talk about the fleas. Hollow Knight had the grub side objective where you find all of the 46 grubs in Hallownest, and for a certain amount of them you got some pretty good rewards, either in Geo, upgrades, or the Grubberfly's Elegy after getting all of them. Then you get treated to war. I wish to never say this again on this channel. In Silksong we get to save fleas for the flea caravan. This one's so much more interesting because they have several NPCs with their own little rewards, objectives and everything. They don't even have a fixed location. They move several times throughout the Farloom. The grub collectathon was simple enough, but this makes collecting them even more interesting, even if there's only 30 fleas in Silksong now. They also make this really cute when you collect them. Absolutely adorable. There's also an NPC interaction that might be one of my favorites out of the whole game, but I'm saving it for the area he appears in. So far, the Flea Caravan is a pretty cool way to tie in the collectathon element in Silksong, but we'll get to them later. For now, let's move on over to the next area. Far Fields has a very bipolar vibe to it, both full of foliage and predators, but also filled with spikes and lava. It's got some pretty atmospheric music and a quest for a really useful upgrade to Hornet's abilities, the Drifter's Cloak. Simply find the seamstress in her flying tent and perform a gather wish for her to collect 25 flexible spines to spell Hornet a better cloak. Oh shit, the wishes, yeah. When Team Cherry was presenting Silksong, one of their big new things was a quest system. There would be quest boards at towns to offer you quests, or in this game's case, wishes, that will ask you for tasks, like killing enemies, gathering something, or getting to some kind of place. In turn, they would give you rewards, and some rewards would visually upgrade the towns that you visited. Well, those were really sucking all of my shell shards out. I really like these little upgrade wishes. It's like you were helping out all the NPCs you've met before and restore hope in their little dinky towns. I really enjoy the wish boards as an addition, and some of the rewards are really worth the work you gotta put in. Anyways, back to Seamstress. After exploring for Far Fields, collecting all the sharp spines. Oh hi! After collecting the sharp spines, you come back to Seamstress and you get your Drifter's Cloak. Holy shit! Oh, never mind. Oh wow, I can't believe they just show her off like that. Glad it's the only scene where she's butt-ass naked. But hey, now that you got a glide ability, let's check out those aerials. Holy fucking shit! Alright, pause. I've been waiting years on this moment. Ever since the reveal trailer, I've seen this big guy, and I've been wanting this guy for more than anything. That sounds gay as hell. The way it towers over the lava, over Hornet, over everything was phenomenal. It was also interesting to note how much the area was changed visually. In the first trailer there was so much red haze everywhere because of the heat, but over time they made everything look so much cleaner and easier to tell apart what's going on. So much was going on with the particles, but now you can better focus on the fight. And wow, what a fight it is. Well, we could see how much the arena changed. We didn't see another crucial detail, the way it's animated. It's a fucking animation rig, fitting for a rusty and mechanical machine. Unless you have no eyes. Everything in Silksong is hand animated, and putting out a puppet rig for the 4th chorus is so damn cool, and it made the fight such a feast. The music is so cool, the arena is so impressive, and the coolest thing out of all is how to defeat it. Either you just strike it down, or you let this giant rock kill it that reveals itself in the second phase. You know what I had to do. So fucking awesome. God. Cool. Now keep ascending until you reach— Wait, fuck! Oh yeah, Hunter's March. Yeah, I totally forgot to mention Hunter's March, which funnily enough, you could absolutely just beat the game without ever going there. It was even accessible through the Marrow at the very beginning, if you were able to defeat the giant ant, keeping you from entering it. When I played the game, I gave it a few tries and then decided on a very heinous decision, choosing to go somewhere else. Shocking, I know. Later I came back and then was treated to probably one of my favorite area tracks in the game. It's so beautiful. For an area that humbled so many beginners with the platforming and ant enemies. Oh, and also the trolling. Aside that though, visually it's phenomenal. The little ant lines walking on the background and physical ground. I didn't notice it until much later, but when you kill an ant enemy while there are little ants on the ground, they will carry the dead ants away. It's just adorable. And fucked up. What are they gonna do to that thing? My only problem with this area is that you get a few things like the fractured mask or the beast crest and then dip forever and only come back much later in the game. Despite the short Sunday night fling, I enjoyed it all, even with all the clips of people struggling at the beginning and for so much. IGN had to make a whole video just about how to defeat it. Okay, to be fair, it's IGN, but you get what I mean. We will get back to Hunter's March later. Oh, we will. But for now, let's get back to that Farfield's Ascent because things are about to get more gray and more-ish. Graymore is one of the more civilized areas in Farloom. Aside the actual citadel, there's bugs that collect silk, bugs that flap around like they're crows, and the twin towers. What I really like about Silksong is the fact that there's so many cool things hidden in the background. Like the towers have giant spinning silk spool wheels in the background, probably being moved by the giant windmills. It's a visually decrepit and wet area, but it's also neighboring a lot of the more important areas that you'll likely visit a lot. In a little shop you meet New, from which you get the hunter's journal from. Kinda weird because this thing doesn't seem like a vicious hunter, but hey, maybe they've got something malicious to hide after all. Before we move on though, I want to mention something I hinted at earlier. In a wall next to the entrances in this road, there's a flea NPC hidden with his carriage. After meeting up with the whole caravan, he offers you a hot spa for a small fee, but it's not just money that he wants to watch. Hornet answers in a way that I could not paraphrase at all, so I'm letting her talk. This is so fucking funny. I didn't know Silksong had gooners. Anyways, oh yeah, Graymore. Let's get to this big open area after hearing some kind of creature roar, and there's some ominous droning noise as we run across the open area. Oh my god! Morwing, baby! This was a rough one. This boss takes a while to take down, as we don't have a nail upgrade yet, and all the double hits really hit you hard here. But there's one thing that is helping you out, which you could get early on in Graymore, the Reaper's Crest. Let's talk about crests for a second. Crests are a new gameplay element in Silksong. You can switch out your current moveset for a new one, which has their own little special effect to them. The Hunter's Crest is the default Hornet Crest. It can be upgraded later to deal more damage. Reaper is my absolute favorite. The moveset feels great and it gives you little silk balls when striking enemies. The Wanderer has small quick jabs and a proper pogo, and by having a smaller damage output, it has the chance to crit and deal much more damage in one swing. The Beast is pretty weird. It doesn't have like a real heal, but it puts you in a state where you need to deal a lot of damage to enemies to replenish health. This one's really powerful for shredding bosses and completely neutering them. The Witch? we'll get to later. For now, let's get back to Morwing. Ah, fuck. After dying a few times and having previously met Garmin and Zaza, my god! This is the only flag that I want to see flying on your suburban law! You can actually get help from them both while fighting the Morwing. I'm saying this for those who want to play this game, absolutely do this. It makes the fight less of a hassle and they make this really loud yell when they enter. Devil shivers as Garmin and his loyal steed lose their temper. One more thing about the Morwing fight. I could have mentioned this earlier with bosses like Mouse Mother, but this boss track is called Strive, and it sounds so fucking good. This was a track that appeared in the Xbox Showcase trailer from 2022 actually, and even back then, I was not just excited for all the really cool footage. I was excited for these fucking strings going so hard. This shit is gonna catch fire, dog. Put it down. I'm glad they use it for a lot of bosses, but some of the later ones do have their own tracks. Oh, they do! Anyways, after countless attempts, we finally beat Morwing. I cannot wait for a DLC where they allow you to refight bosses like the Godhome in Hollow Knight, because these bosses are so fun to battle. One side comment, I believe that Morwing and the next boss that we will talk about later gave me more issues and refights than the actual final boss and true final boss. That is fucked. So let's enter Belhard, another area that was shown off in trailers. This is... Holy shit. Unfortunately, we can't do anything to save them right now, so we are forced to check out the next area, Shellwood. Shellwood is another very vegetative area. It's almost like a mix of Green Path and Queen's Gardens, like a very overgrown flowering cave with some emotional ambience attached to it, and the music is so atmospheric. Silksong's musical direction is very different compared to Hollow Knight. It's almost like a lot of the area tracks are much more ambient to help you focus on the combat and occasional boss encounters. Hollow Knight had similar tracks, but the ones here are more like background noise to help you gather supplies for wishes. Speaking of wishes, there's an interesting NPC in Shellwood that I want to talk about. You can meet Greyroot in a little twisted home who keeps talking about birth. It can give you a quest for a pretty powerful poison pouch that enhances every red tool you can equip. We'll talk about the tool system in a bit, because there's so much to them and it's hard to really condense quickly. Back to the NPC, there's another interaction with them. Whatever. You can find an item called Twisted Butt, a weird little creature that cries when you select it in your inventory. You think to yourself, it kinda looks like Greyroot. I wonder what happens when you bring this butt to them. You get back to them, and surprise, you were right. You can actually give them this item, and they reward you with this. Perfect. Oh my god. Oh! Did we get booty tickled? You wake up in this Chapel of the Witch with a completely new crest, but you can't heal, equip any tool, and are pretty much just impaired with this parasite inside of you. But there is a solution. In Greymoor, there was another NPC inside a bell home that was only coming out if there was something malicious inside of you. And well, now you got a reason to come. He introduces himself as the Great Yarnaby and gives you a quest for a surgery machine. Get some spines from these two blokes in Sinner's Road and then get experimented on. Well, this didn't feel right without a Life League logo. That audio was absolutely haunting. But we got a crest. Cool. The Witch crest is cool. It's got range, swift attacks, and a lifesteal-like bind. Just stand in the proximity of enemies while binding, and they will be sacrificed for your blood. It's a cool crest, but I barely used it. Like, come on, there's Reapers. Is there any point to anything else? Aside this quest, we get the Cling Grip, our wall jump ability in this game, which is gonna be absolutely useful for the rest of the game. Oh, and the Sister Splinter boss fight. Cue the clip. I don't like how the music cuts out, you know? I feel like I'm gonna go to some area and it's gonna just spawn a boss out of nowhere. Sister Splinter! Cool boss, but it went down in a single try, wow. Through Shellwood, we also get access to the top of Belhard, and we can finally find out what's been haunting the town. And while you're going through the piles of bells, you think to yourself, ha, man, that Sister Splinter boss went down like a bitch. I feel a little powerful. Here comes Widow, bitch. Let's talk about Widow. The fight, an absolutely de facto skill check. She's quick, hits hard, and the second phase hits even harder. Next to Morrowind, this boss fucked me up in the early game. And you know what kicks even harder? The fucking boss theme. This is the most aggressive string instrument piece I've heard so far. And the second phase gets even quicker. But you know, What goes even harder, this character. According to the known lore, the Weavers are an almost extinct race, with their original home being likely in Farloom. Most of them have been exported for the use of silk for the Citadel, and this is one of them. She's loyal to the monarch up in the Citadel and supplied silk to her, but it seems along the path, her mask was removed and nails were lodged into her to stop her from producing silk. I don't think they liked her at all. This is what a weaver looks like. This is what she looks like. This is like putting a weaver into the femur breaker. Here's what I find crazy though. According to the dialogue with her before we fight, she knows Hornet, she knows who her parents are, and she refers to Hornet as rare. As interesting and lore heavy as this may seem, I have an objection. That is not rare. The way she cooked my ass, I am not rare, I am well. I'm skipping you all the retries though. We eventually beat her, and holy shit, she wants her dead.
God, I defeated him and I'm You have to see it for yourself.
Oh my god, that is so fucking hardcore.
And now you have Silksong's equivalent of the Dream Nail. Or maybe not. The Needleland allows us to open the weird Weaver doors and get dialogue from NPCs and enemies. But it's not just dialogue, they sing! Many NPCs have their own singing or being constricted by silk animations, and that's so much more work than just a little dialogue box in Hollow Knight. Before we move on to the next area, I want to quickly mention that one door from Moss Grotto. Inside there's an old Weaver structure, and inside you find a thing called Eva. She seems to be some kind of artificial life form that the Weavers created, and she will aid you whenever you get new upgrades, so she can upgrade your Hunter's Crest. I don't know why, but her being a weird thing, it's kinda cool. I've noticed I'm 20 pages in already and I'm only at Act 1 still, so let's hurry it up with the future areas unless I've got something to say about them. Now I entered Blasted Steppes much later. It's how you can access the Citadel, or rather one of the two known intended ways. It's a pretty cool windy and sandy area. You can find the Pinterest in there that teaches you your needle art ability. For NPCs there's Slumble the Lucky, from which you can get the Magnetite dice, an incredibly useful tool for dodging attacks. If you're lucky, that is. And the fuck-ass Grindle. Aside that, there's the one more important boss, and it's one of the ways to access the Citadel, the Last Judge. Look at the way she spawns in, too.
Oh my god.
That is raw as fuck. Pretty difficult fight, but I've been through worse. Believe me, I have been through worse. Also, only after beating the game, I've realized that you can equip the Magma Warding Bell from Forge Daughter to decrease the fire damage that her fire attacks deal. Oops. Oh wow, you can access the Citadel. Wait, we don't go there just yet. There's Sands of Karak. Basically, it's what used to be the coral area shown in the trailers. We kind of get to see it later, but sadly, it seems like Team Cherry had to cut some areas out of the game. Sands of Karak has these timed platforming challenges that some friends of mine found really annoying, but I never had an issue with them. Plus, they make this really satisfying crunching noise. There's this huge coral tower with encrusted soldiers and a king on a seat. This will be important later. This is Sinner's Road. This is where difficulty ends and Team Cherry certified bullshit starts. Sinner's Road got dogs that catch you, annoying chain enemies, and maggot-infested water. It prevents you from binding. If you get a full heal, use bind to remove all the maggots and unslime yourself. The most interesting thing in it is the green prince inside a cell that you can open in a boss encounter. There's also Styx, Crawl, and Benjamin, but I don't care. Now there's two areas connected to it. The left one will be covered after the other one. So what is the other one? Now, I have lusted over this game for a while, and I do want to clarify that, despite this game's development time and effort put into it, you know, there's still some problems. They get overshadowed by the upsides, of course, but it's a common rule that imperfection is true perfection. If there's something without flaw, I'm not buying it for a second. If we recognize the flaws and adapt to them, we can truly understand something and how it came to be. Similarly to how even your favorite musicians of all time have tracks that don't hit that well. Like, yeah, I can gush over Will Wood forever, but I don't know a single person that likes Self and Ish unironically, or hell, Destroyed to Enjoy. Now why do I bring this up? Because I found Team Cherry's biggest fuck up, their biggest mistake. It's bile water. Remember the maggot water? It's everywhere. Traversing it, painful. Size, massive. Enemies, cock and ball torture. Except these, they get to stay. And the worst offender of all, there is one single area at the very top where you fight Grohl the Great. He gave that title to himself wrongfully because his real title should be Grohl the Unwanted Child. There's nothing I love more than a small area with maggot water on the bottom, where the boss that deals double damage to you shoots projectiles in the second phase and summons enemies mid-fight. The boss is annoying but doable. However, the most annoying part of this fight isn't the actual fight, but the run back. This is the arena. This is the bench. you might see how annoying that can be. And you know what's the worst thing? There is a bench that more than halves the run back time. But it's hidden. I had to look up there's another strategy just cause this guy was pissing me off. Getting to Bilehaven gives you the reward of a stupid late game key item and a literal key item for something later down the line. But you know, it's just so annoying to get there. Like, wait, who's this guy? Wait, no! Welcome to the Slab, a prison where heretics, sinners, and evildoers get sent, and quite falsely, us. We wake up with wow, absolutely nothing. You know, people were making jokes about that nude Hornet sprite like early 2025, but this is just full-on sticks out. They really just weren't afraid to show off Hornet's nothings. This area is pretty interesting though. You can reach it without ever being captured, but the captured sequence is really interesting. Yeah, Hornet can't heal in this state and only deal minimal damage, but it's a very interesting direction for this whole section. We can also see the warden flies holding our stuff and kinda just looking at it, which is funny. Oh, Grindel is here too, but he's a jerk anyways. There's a pretty cool enemy arena where you have to use traps to kill the enemies since you can't do it yourself. It's very creative. And then to wrap it up, after getting the keys needed to open the cell with the wardens in it, we get a chance to get all our stuff back. And we can see a warden fly dressing up as Hornet and parading around. It's so charming. Anyways. That's so fucking metal. I love this scene so much. If you didn't get captured by them, you'd probably not be able to see this sequence, but it's just so cool. What's even cooler is that there's a secret boss to unlock with a key that we found after the Bilehaven boss fight, the first sinner, and I'm so glad they used the Widow soundtrack again. It's a really interesting fight, not just with the fun fight, but also the fact that canonically she's a Farlet enemy that got turned into a Weaver. And according to some research, that's how all the Weavers were made. And the Monarch, which we'll see later, lied to them about how they were all divine. That has some insane lore implications. Now, before we move back to Bylewater, because we missed a very important part, let's wrap up the areas I skipped over. Mount Faye is right next to the slab and basically a platforming challenge with freezing hazards. And right at the top you get your double jump given to you by Big Bird. Wormways is a whole area with worms taking through the area. Wait a second, what's Gish doing here? You can also find lifeblood here, but it's called Plasmium for some reason. Is Plasmium the original name for it, or a name given by the NPC that gives you the quest for the syringe? I don't know, and I don't care. Then there's Putrefied Ducts. It's just kinda there, and only an important place later. There's even more annoying enemies and Barnacle, Half-Life. Alright, now that should be all for Act 1. It's time to show you guys the probably coolest way to enter Act 2. Now I know that there's the Last Judge, but even if that fight was cool, this one was just wow. So way back in Sinus Road, there was this one blocked off entry door, and when you go through there, you get taken to a special area. The Mist. You don't have a map, because you don't need one, and there isn't one. Because this is just a bunch of rooms, looping endlessly with wraiths sucking the silk out of you. Even the music sounds like very ethereal organ sounds. It's mystifying. What isn't is the fact how lost I was. Many others probably as well. And I ended stream just trying to find my way somewhere offline, until I used my needle in next to the flies, and there it was. I just had to play a little funky tune and follow them to the exhaust organ. And inside were a bunch of exhaust tubes I had to speed through to get to an absolutely amazing fight. So I want you to imagine this, right? Gaming is about music. There's an entire area that's just an exhaust organ. An organ is a giant instrument used for theaters or religious ceremonies. And what fits for an opera? A phantom. Just the way she stops whatever she's doing to fight you, and the music. I swear on my reserve Silk Eater that I keep alive for some crucial moment. The music! It's so damn dramatic. The fight is tough, it feels like Hornet 2 from Hollow Knight, and what I like the most about it is just that all the sucking me off sounds that she's making. Everything else, the dramatic ass stunt animation, second phase filling the air with fumes, end of the fight cutscene QTE that unlocks the parry move for you. Fantastic! And now we are finally in. Act 2 is all about climbing the Citadel. It doesn't have as many areas as the entirety of Falloon, but it spices that up by making the areas huge. Especially the main one, Coral Chambers. The way the Citadel looks is so mesmerizing. Crazy to think Bugs built this. Oh, by the way, we get a short cutscene with Lace after we see the Citadel for the first time. It's more banter, but I still love how much of a bitch she is. Coral Chambers music is really interesting. It's got this royal feeling to it, while still being kind of bizarre. Like for example, this part kind of breaks the tune in my head. It's almost like a sign that this place isn't what it used to be. There's also another area under the coral chambers, the Underworks. It's basically the grimy and minimum wage underbelly of the Citadel, full of pipes, saw blades and old machinery. It's there where we find a very interesting NPC, the 12th Architect, a machine responsible for building all the machines in the Citadel. It's really interesting because not only do you get really cool tools and the Architect's crest from her, you can also see the other Chorus machines just kinda hanging out where she's sitting. Oh yeah, let's cover tools. In Hollow Knight you basically had spells, nail attacks, and then you had charms. All of them had special abilities that would either be defensive, offensive, or just kinda there. In Silksong, these equipable charms were completely reinterpreted. Now they are tools and split into 3 groups. Red tools are ones you can activate with a combination of the Silk spell button and any directional button. They are powerful but require to be repaired using shell shards, which can drop from any enemy or can be sold by vendors. I like these a lot, and there's some favorite tools of mine, but I have one gripe about them. Imagine you're trying a boss so much you're running out of shell shards. Ergo, your red tools. They do stay when dying, which is really good, but when you keep repairing your tools after dying, you will eventually run out of them. You will not be able to get these red tools repaired if you wasted all of those shell shards and boss repeats. However, you can buy 80 shell shards for 50 rosaries at basically any vendor, so I guess that makes it a little easier to get back, but I guarantee you, sometime during the late game, you will need these damn shell bundles stat. Aside red tools, we also have blue and yellow tools. Blue tools are more so defensive or offensive and don't need to be repaired. Some of them do need to be repaired at benches sometimes when they break, but otherwise they're passive. And the yellow ones have miscellaneous effects like mapping, rosary attraction, or more damage dealt with the drawback of you taking more damage. They all have their own slots and crests, and while you can unlock more slots for them with memory lockets, some of them are limited with the types of tools you can equip. Like some crests don't have that many blue slots or yellow slots, and crests like the Architect's crest straight up don't have any slot for silk spells at all. It does make sense for balancing them though, so I'm fine with that. While we're here, let's quickly cover the silk spells. The Silk Needle art is the first one you get. It's alright. The Needle Storm is very powerful, which I like a lot. Cross Stitch is really good for bosses that dash at you. The Silk Dash is also pretty good, and you can get it from— Why is there still Gish? The Silk Runes have a huge area of effect and are devastating, which is a pretty lucrative reward from the first sinner. And the Silk Needles come from Act 3, and my god are they good. And that's all the tools and quibbles. So far a pretty in-depth and interesting concept for a redesign of the simple but understandable charm system in Hollow Knight. Let's jump back to the Citadel. Exploring the Citadel a bit more leads you to find some new areas like Songclave, the last town we'll find for now, and populated by a few villagers, a vendor and the caretaker, which we'll definitely come back to later. We also find a key to the White Warden there, which— let's talk about that area. It's a small area that gives you probably the most important blue tool you'll ever need, the quick kill thing that you'll never unequip for the rest of the game. It's also where you find some other stuff, but it's more so the setting of this area that I absolutely adore. It's a hospital ward, where a bunch of experiments with silk were conducted on bugs, and there's even a hidden room with a bunch of dead bugs on the floor. You can see seats everywhere with devices hanging from the ceiling, really making you wonder if Yarnaby's Extricator was really that demented compared to these saw machines. Speaking of saw, in one of these rooms there's a hidden psalm cylinder. The psalm cylinders are kind of like the relics in the game, but instead of being text you can read, it's audible. Most of them are chanting or melodies, but the White Ward one is really something. What else is in this area? Oh, you know, just a giant unraveled mask of silk, throwing haunted enemies bandaged with silk at you. One of them is straight up just 2 halves of a bug tied together with silk. This boss is a bitch, but so goddamn, it's so cool. Doesn't hit as much as the Nosk fight in terms of creepiness, but man, it's awesome. And when the spinning spears come in, oh boy, shit gets tense. And the motion blur on the spears spinning into place, cool shit. Anyways, that's White Ward, a pretty cool switch in tone from what we've seen so far from the Citadel. Now jumping right in the middle to the Citadel, we have a new boss to fight, the Cogwork Dancers. This boss is so fucking cool. I've said that a million times, I don't care. Despite the amount of polish in this game, this boss is a definite breaking point for many players. They break down crying. There are 2 dancers that swing rhythmically around the area. If you listen closely to the theme during the fight, you can hear the mechanical clicks in the background. In the second phase, they all wind up again and their attacks get faster. I really like their middle attack when they dance together, gay as bugs, good for them. And in the third phase, the music takes a complete turn as they attack out of sync with each other. boom, then one of them goes down and the last one winds up again. You expect it to go much quicker as like an act of desperation, but no. I can't do it. The way it tries to do the dance attack in the middle as if it's coded in, but because the other one is dead it just falls to the ground, and with the music box cover of the theme in the back. How do they make me feel for these damn robots? Anyways, we can't sit here all the time, so poor guy. Anyways, you're dead. After we defeat the two gay-ass clankers, we get given yet another objective. To truly reach the peak of the Citadel and challenge the Monarch, we have to seek out the 3 conductors in the other parts of the Citadel. Let's sum them up, shall we? There's Cogwork Core, and holy humonga, it looks sick as hell. All the gears turning and the robots walking around, it's so damn impressive. And the music, my god, the music. It sounds so nostalgic and mechanical. Truly impressive what Chris Larkin and his orchestra team have made for this game. Mind I remind you, the previous game with DLC has 27 tracks. This one, 53 tracks. Anyways, back to Cogwork Cog. Through it, we can also access Whispering Vaults, bookshelves full of scrolls and pages. The music gives me like a Dark Souls vibe. I don't know how to explain it, but it's pretty neat. In there, we can just grab the Vault Keeper's melody, but there's another boss in here that I just want to talk about. I sucked so much ass at this fight, but I won't lie when I say that this fight was pretty fun. The goofy music, his dramatic ass moves and flamboyant performance, even just the way he gets defeated is so over dramatic. Although I will say there was so much going on and I'm pretty sure it was killing my bitrate harder than he killed me. Only later did I learn that you can actually hit the exploding bombs. Could have been much more helpful way earlier. Also apparently you can choose to fight Garmin and Zaza through Whispering Walls. Sadly I missed it. Glad nothing happened to them. And the last melody is inside High Halls, a pretty shiny looking area with fountains and spikes everywhere. Despite the annoying enemies, its ambience is so royal. I don't know exactly how to describe it. In there we have to go through a gruelingly long area. And when you think, man, this guy with the mace weapon is really annoying, have fun defeating 2 more.
Don't tell me.
After all that is over, you get the last melody from a guy who's actually alive this time, but living off of a reserve of silk. And boom, you got them all. But before we move on, there's one more area I want to mention, which doesn't have anything actually important in it, but thematically it's fascinating. This is the Memoriam. It contains no actual important story items, but if you like world building, this is your #1 place. The entire area serves as a museum, seeking to capture all the flora and fauna of Forloom, in case anything should happen to these areas. You can find an item called Materium, and once you collect it, you can get information on any item, quest item, or material. And where do you put that down? In your personal bell home. Yeah, I forgot to mention this, but after a while into the game, you get the ability to have a little home of your own in Bellheart. With some generous and necessary funding, you can get more items in there, like a bed, a gramophone, or a own hot tub. It's really cute how they let you do that, even if something like that would only really make sense in maybe like an online game with social interactions. And that should be it for the Citadel. Really just showing how massive and varied the whole structure is. And now that we've seen it all and gotten all the melodies needed, let's truly ascend. Ascend to another lace fight, that is. The way this animated cutscene introduces the fight is so cool. Anyways, this fight is rough. I first tried that first interaction, but this time she kicks ass. It's also here where we learn so much more about Lace. She's not any kind of normal bug. She's a being made entirely from silk, made by the Pale Monarch up in the cradle, seemingly as a daughter for them. She's also sister to Phantom, but she's an unwanted child. This also means that she was made to have the mind and look of a child, which is earth-shattering news for Lace and shippers. Don't show that. Anyways, we defeat her and finally enter the cradle. This is the last area you're probably gonna get before beating the game, and man, it has it. Not only can you find the same cages that trap you in a secret room, made for weavers from other kingdoms, but you can also find a memory of Widow in a secret room that just appears to be empty. But that's not what you're here for, are you? Let's take the final boss head on.
What is it?
Grandmother Silk! Actually, we'll go to design though. The way the hair flows down, presumably connected to all the silk in the kingdom, and just the elegant design is so fascinating. It sucks that the fight is kind of doable though, but I won't lie that the stakes are insane. The aura is impeccable. The tension is tensioning up, and boom, you got her. You suck up all her power and see as your health and silk bar keeps on growing, and then you beat the game. Kinda crazy how I had more attempts with bosses like Widow or Trobio than the final fucking boss. In this ending you see as Hornet turns into presumably another creature just like Grandmother Silk, and all the silk in the Citadel keeps on haunting the place. And then you see the credits. It's really fascinating to see what became of this game from the footage and demo from back in 2019 until now. All of this content and polish adding up to this absolutely fantastic game. Also seeing the credits with all of those orchestral people really shows how much work they went into the music. That's a lot of passion that goes into such a game. And then at the end you don't get a completion mark because it's hidden somewhere else. Alright. But you know that we're not done. Just like how when you defeat the Hollow Knight and what else? Hollow Knight, you're not really done. The true challenge awaits you in the true ending. So remember the caretaker guy in Songclave, right? Well, after some wish fulfilling in progress, he tells Hornet that he's got a plan. Instead of Hornet getting silked and milked for its silk, you instead set a trap for Grandmother Silk. You do that by visiting a few family members for his soul items, and that guy next to Bilehaven area guessed that it was in fact necessary. After it's completed, the caretaker installs the trap at the cradle, and your task is to fight Grandmother Silk again, but this time trap her, and you sure do.
Oh nice, it even gives you an option.
Hear my stupid fucking melody! Oh my god. She grabs us with us! Lace! My goat! Scratch that off the bingo card, we got one! After that, you see a cutscene where the cradle falls in, you get the credits again. Alright, I guess that's another ending. Sick. I'm just gonna move on back to the save file and... What the... Oh no.
Looks like you're going to the Shadow Realm, Jimbo.
This ain't just an ending, chap. This is a whole nother chapter. So remember how in Hollow Knight, whenever you killed one of the Dreamers or got the Monarch Wings, the Crossroads would turn infected to kind of show the change in the world from the actions you've done. Well, this one changes everything. Now Void Tendons have touched the entirety of Forloom, boulders have crashed everywhere, enemies get infected by Void and gain more devastating attacks. A permanent change to everything. Bone Bottom, they're all dead.
Everyone in McKinney is dead.
They really show you how much the world has changed with this, not just visually but also difficulty wise. These Void enemies get really annoying, and they can sometimes just infect bosses that you haven't defeated in chapter 1 before. That's what I get for not defeating Chef Lugoli in act 2. Anyway, story wise, you get yourself back to Songclave to check on everyone, and it seems that Sherma has taken the role of taking care of the entirety of Songclave, even wearing this caretaker's robe. Cute! We ask where he went and he directs us to the Rune Chapel, where we find him, but not in the way we expected. They are shamans! This requires some explanation, so let me break it down. The Snail Shamans were a pretty mysterious group in Hollow Knight, where only higher beings, with exceptions, could use and manipulate soul. These just had the ability to do so as well. They were also seemingly tied to the Void, a substance and power opposed to soul in the higher beings. What's interesting about them is that we can barely see any alive members in Hollow Knight. Most of them were just dead, and the only one alive just doesn't tell us that much. And seeing just 3 of them is crazy. Hornet vows to fix this mess that she, with the help of the Snail Shamans, has created in Falun, and the 3 direct her to the Forge Daughters employee Barlow. With her help, we enter this diving bell, and boom. Abyss. Straight up. Down there we learn that Grandmother Silk has been dragged down there with Lace in her arms, and if she seeks to save her, only Lace, that Grandma can go die in a fire, she would have to dive down there. A dive that would definitely kill her instantly. To ward off the evil Void, she would have to get an Everbloom, aka the flower from the Flower Crest in Hollow Knight. But these don't exist anymore, so she would have to get one from her memories and manifest it into reality. How does that work? It just does, go with it. We also exit the Abyss with a really cool escape sequence. That shit is peak. Here's something I forgot to mention but couldn't put it anywhere else where it could fit. When checking on the bell beast at the Grand Bellway station where the Terminus air pipes connect to, you're not greeted by a doggy. If a single thing happened to my precious doggy, I'm killing everybody in Farloom and then myself. Inside you find a really annoying but also tense boss fight, Bell Eater. From the name implication I'm already expecting the worst, but at the end of this fight we get treated to this absolutely peak defeat cutscene. Bell Beast! The way it dives into the boss and just speeds it up off screen is really funny. Baby doggy! Back to the main story. The same shamans tell us to seek out 3 ancient bosses from Falloom and get their hearts. So we do that. First one is Scarsinger Carmelita, arguably the hardest one of them all. Now Carmelita kicked major ass. I was stuck at her for like 3 days. Despite the difficulty though, it's a great boss fight and fittingly challenging for the 3rd act. After that fight, we get her heart and move on to the next one, the Crust King Khan. He's hidden in that one coral tower in Sands of Karak. Inside we find the way more saturated and lively area that was once the Sands. Inside we get a gauntlet of like 3 entire arenas full of enemies. It's as fun as it sounds, but I want to tell you this little funny story. I was playing Silksong one night after defeating Carmelita and went over all the way to Crust King Khan. After dying a lot to the arenas, I took a break for a few days. Do that with difficult games like that. I don't want to sound like this image, but it genuinely does help you. So I come back a few days later, I turn on the game, I do all the arenas in one try, I get to Khan and kill him in one try. In this moment, Kritten felt like a god. Yeah, Khan out of the 3 is a very doable boss fight. What makes it difficult is probably the 3 arenas, but otherwise it's totally fine. And 3rd is Nyleth, but we don't get to her immediately, because we first gotta get through Seth. Wait, Seth? There he is! Seth was a character designed by a Make-A-Wish kid, Seth Goldman. Team Cherry seemingly did a collaboration with the hospital and just let this kid create a character for the game. Unfortunately, he passed away shortly after Team Cherry announced that design, but it's still adorable that his design got immortalized into Silksong. The boss fight is pretty fun, even if I died several times. Oh yeah, Nyleth, let's fight her. Oh shit. This one isn't as difficult as Carmelita, but it's simply difficult because of the stage hazard. That hazard being the fact that there is only hazard and no stage. It's a very awkward fight and you can only always hold on to one side. After we finally defeat her though, we get back to the 3 shamans to finally get this damn Poppia from Hornet's Mines. Which leads us to an interesting sequence. Red Memory is a fascinating sequence. It's a bunch of lore cutscenes connected by platforming sequences. You get to see Hornet as a baby next to a bunch of weavers. You get to see her next to Hera. It's so fascinating just like transitioning out of nowhere to deepness and seeing that Stagnus sign appear, then you know where we are. After that we see her train with Vespa, the one who gave her name presumably, then in a pale king-like dress next to a glowing figure of the White Lady. It's such a lore heavy cutscene and I just absolutely am stunned by how much background information Team Cherry put in for a character that had a lot of implied information in the previous game, but was still missing a lot of moments, you know? After that she gets the Everbloom from the White Lady and boom, you wake up to the shaman's just fucking dead and you know where you gotta go. One more thing, I didn't do this on camera, but yeah, remember Garmin and Zaza? Yeah, I don't know how to tell you this, but Zaza comes up to us to check on him and he's been fully taken by the void. We're forced to defeat him to subdue him. After he dies, we get a memento from him and see as Zaza lies next to him like a dog next to his dead owner. My goat is washed. Anyways, true final boss time.
Huh. Where are we now? Kestra. Whoa.
Lost Lace. Lost Lace is a really difficult true final boss. I spent the rest of my last stream fighting her, and I'm glad that compared to Grandmother Silk, she's an actual threat. Ending a game with another boss that feels like a dance is great. The theme and tension is great. The boss fight is hard and she kicks ass. I'm so glad that they did this. But I'm kinda sad that it's just Lace again. Like, don't get me in a jiffy, this fight is awesome, but I would have hoped for a cooler boss fight. Like, I would have loved it like a giant void beast that either crushes GMS like a tin can or fuses with her as a last-ditch resort of Grandmother Silk. Like, remember how in Hollow Knight, seeing that switch from the Hollow Knight to the Radiance, That was just absolutely sick. Again, don't get me wrong, just being a little disappointed doesn't count as a CinemaSins-esque game sen. Here's something I found cool though. While doing research about Lace to check on her background in case I missed crucial context, I found out something truly fascinating but also fucked up. So you know how she's created from Grandmother Silk? Well, when she was dragged to the void with Lace in her grasp, she created this cocoon to keep her and Lace safe. She had to constantly give up her energy and life just to keep them both safe. That's why she's so tied up when you enter. She's holding it all together. It fits so well together, especially with the incredibly dramatic and emotional boss theme. Fits so well together. Anyways, we defeat Lace, and I'm glad I recorded this off stream. We use up the last of Grandmother Silk's energy to poke through the cocoon with Lace in our arms, knocked out but safe, and we soar through the void. It doesn't work. I'm just gonna let you experience this cutscene for yourself. What? Is this what it feels like to see your favorite character, John Marvel, show up at the end of a critically mid Marvel movie? Seeing the ghost just be down there with all the siblings, the way it carries us safely to the surface, or how we watch as we are both safe and laced us a little off. Adding on to that, the title screen that we unlock after the ending shows Hornet's needle next to Lace's pin. Seemingly they made it out safely. It gives me like a warm feeling that it was all worth it. And to show this true feeling of completion and achievement, the normal credits get replaced with credits that resemble the ones from Hollow Knight. This like whole third act was so fascinating. Despite its difficulty and borderline bullshit, it gives us so much more development and stakes. It's just beautiful. And seeing all the credit, and at the end you see Seth Goldman next to the backers, it truly brings even the toughest man to tears. And then you see that you're missing 20%. What? I've been in this damn termite hill for 40 hours. I'm missing 20%? This game's fucking insane. So let's get some notable areas out of the way, just post game. It probably fucks up with the pacing of the video, but I don't care. So remember the Green Prince? The character who was a prince and was also green?
You're a genius, Team Cherry!
Well, the Green Prince had another little gay lover, and that one was used as a mold for the cogwork dancers. Practically, when we defeated him, we killed the last imprint of him. Oh, dang, I'm sorry, the fight was just so good. And after we meet him a bit throughout Farloom, he ends up in this remote area next to Greymore. And as he's mourning, we can enter his mind space with the same Needle-in spell that we used in the 3 ancient bosses. And you get to the most beautiful hidden area that a majority of the player base will probably never get to. This is the most beautiful and tragic area that exists in this game. It's a whole area full of clovers, flowers, beautiful ambience and their own enemies. And remember, in real life, this is all gone. The Green Prince's area, his kingdom, his subjects and home, and most importantly, his lover are gone. Anyways, let's kill him. This fight is really interesting because it's basically what the cogwork dancers really used to be, just a bit harder. However, they did go down easier. And it's cool how his lover's just like a phantom of what he used to be. Seeing him dance with the memory of who he loved is pretty tragic. Anyways, he's dead. After you kill them, you get his heart as a memento to put into your bell home. And when you get to the real world, he's dead and lying next to his robot hotbod. Even if this was a small area, which you could easily miss, this was just absolutely beautiful. Like a theatrical tragedy, it was just all so damn bittersweet. And even now, after beating the game, I listened to this track specifically. Okay, technically every other track too, they're all awesome. There's also a lot of bosses from Act 3 that you can find, but I don't see them as necessary to talk about in detail. So here's a little lightning round of them all. Also remember the fleas? After getting all of them, they band together to build a giant minigame fair. When beating all of the records, you get another pale oil as a gift, the final upgrade to your nail. Next to the one in the Citadel, where you have to do a fetch quest for a bunch of food items, including a more annoying version of the flower quest. And now, as a last little moment before we end this game, let's check in on our old friend Mr. Mushroom, cause he's in here. You summon him several times throughout the kingdom, and this time instead of having to look through the entirety of Hallownest, you get a wish with a poem inside, hinting you to all the locations. After finding all of them, the final one is hidden in a very interesting way. Remember Path of Pain? This is Path of Slight Discomfort. It's another difficult climbing section, but it's way easier to do than the Path of Pain, and the reward is pretty cool. At the final interaction with Mr. Mushroom, you actually have a full conversation with him, and after you look around a bit more, you find the surface, with a bunch of bugs that are completely free of silk, and a seemingly abandoned village on the right side. All it gives you is a bit of lore and a memento, but it's still fascinating. After getting all the other items, fighting the bosses you've completely missed, and the maggot water repelling reef that is not completely useless, you've done it all. And I covered it all without ever mentioning Wisp Thicket, cause that place sure exists. It's done. This has been a beautiful experience. Seeing the fruits of the 5 years of labor has really been an adventure. Even with the difficulty spike, it's been pretty fun. The craziest thing about the development of this game is just the fact how casual, non-problematic it all went down. They've never went through crunch or were overworked. Even during Corona, it didn't affect their production at all. Their only problems were having to hold themselves from adding too much. And you know, in the end, they still couldn't keep that from happening. Keep in mind that this game, in terms of file size, is as big as the previous game. That's insane considering how huge the map is. I just can't wait for DLC.
Spare me an inch of that fat fucking cock.
Will I cover them? I'm not sure. But will I stream them? Oh yeah. As someone who's been very dedicated to the whole weekly Silksong thing, using it to basically get through the wait has been helping so much. And it also kind of made me better at art by just simply drawing more. As glad as I am to have finished this weekly Silksong art to the end, don't mention that period. One group deserves that honor more than anyone. Aura and his DSN group has been uploading daily ever since the announcement trailer. They've always been there, during the droughts, during the conspiracy with that fucking cake, the most insane and mental theory ever, which turned out to be true. They were there during the false Nintendo or Indie Direct predictions. They were there during the Acme news. They were there when Team Cherry out of nowhere announced their important information. They were there when the release date trailer came out, and there when it released. The final day of DSN truly shows how far we've come. Watching that final episode was like the bittersweet and deserved end of a journey. Seeing Aura on there, talking about DSN and everything, and finally telling us for the final time that in fact, it was your daily Silksong news, it almost brought a tear to my eye. What am I kidding, it did. There might have been ones that haven't been as well known during these thousands of days, but I think he and his whole team deserve a trophy for this insane display of dedication. Your work, your hope, and your commitment to the bit, it has all paid off. There's also a guy that immediately created an account to give us daily DLC news. Thank you so much for continuing the bit. Anyways, back to me. During the making of this video, I was still using my old and shitty Hollow Knight review as the motive for making this video as beefy as it already is. But honestly, I came back to it after a while, and I started seeing it in a different light. It's not some kind of blasphemy to my undying love to this Australian game about bugs. It's just a very passionate video. Oh, it's bad, for sure, but it shows off one thing. If you're passionate about something, you can make whatever you want. It doesn't have to be the best thing, and it never is on the first try, I can tell you that. That video was only made because I really liked this game, and isn't that how every creative project starts? Not just with an idea, but with a passionate and personal driving force. I could never replace this video. It just shows me how far I've come since then, and even with so much changing, may it be equipment, editing style, or effort, one thing stays the same: my love for creating content about the things I love the most, and to share them with my friends and people like you. So I'm glad to say, after having waited for so many years, having made many videos that brought so many eyes on the projects I love, I can finally say that this has been my Silksong review. Thanks for watching. Alright, that should be it. The video's done. And I couldn't have done it without you, little guy.
Cretin! What in God's name are you doing there with that robot?
Hey, General Buster, how you doing? Don't worry, I've done all of my tasks today. Kind of, sort of.
That's not what I meant, rookie. I know that you took that robot from your senior crewmate. Hand it over. Good. Now let me show you what happens when you think you can do whatever you want. I probably shouldn't have done that. Whatever. Now I'll be returning to my duties. And Cruden, I'll be keeping an eye on you. Don't disappoint me again.
Oh god. So yeah, that was the video. I really hope you enjoyed this. Like, this took way too fucking long. This video was like probably just in the works, like, ever since the, like, actual game came out, and then I started scripting it, and then I started streaming it, and it was just so much. Admittedly, a lot of the time was just spent by me, like, procrastinating, but my god, just... You ever just, like, look at something and you just, like, cry at some points just because, like, it's so just good? Just because the topic, you just love talking about the topic so much. But yeah, I hope, like, this does well for all the time that it took me to make this. And just, man. Next video is Hazbin Hotel 2, by the way. No!
Or just ignore the intermission, alright, fine. Do whatever you want. So, what did you think of Gish?
This sucks.
Aw, man.